This is the global translation services market. It's worth about $42.2 billion annually. So, yeah, whatever. That's a big number. Second of all, everybody's talking about DeepSeek and Grok and all these open source models. It's obviously a big deal. When I was scrolling just on YouTube maybe a couple weeks ago, saw that you can actually run like one of the lower end versions of DeepSeek R1 on a Raspberry Pi, which if any viewers don't know what a Raspberry Pi is, that's like one of the cheapest computers you can buy. It's an insanely simple little thing. And yeah, it's a little finicky. Like it's probably very early stages of this right now, but this just signals something that's coming. So that kind of had my mind go racing a little bit. And that basically led me to the idea of how could you like really help people, especially that are operating in places that there's also a language barrier. First thing that comes to mind here for me is a remote tourist destination that has a language barrier. So basically, I'm saying that some hacker out there has got to get one of these Raspberry Pis and install the DeepSeek on it, but train it on the specific translation of just one language to another. Because I know you probably couldn't just give it everything. Like, it's probably quite limited. So I'm just going to keep it small with that. Like, let's say we're just translating English to French. And we're going to put this in a remote location in Canada where there's no internet. Google Translate is not an option, and provide that. I think there's kind of two applications for it. Like there's kind of there's the idea, like the obvious one I think is to make the most low cost device and then get it to places where that is just inaccessible and they're probably not going to have the highest budgets. There also could be a more of a premium angle to it as well, particularly with aiding organizations that spend time also in these situations. So maybe it's a humanitarian aid organization. Let's say they're, I don't know, going to somewhere in remote West Africa to do some Ebola mission, let's say, and there's no internet there. So they will either have to face like, okay, so we're hiring a translator, or hey, maybe there's a device on the market. It doesn't exist, but like we know, like this is literally so possible. There's nothing stopping this. So maybe a higher end computer that has a good battery attached to it and can also run these translation things using the offline LLM and do that to actually facilitate their operations. So yeah, there's kind of two angles to that. There's kind of like the $300 product and then maybe the like $3,000 product. Both are kind of looking to do the same thing though. So yeah, what do you guys think? Like, am I crazy?
I think, at least for my mind, immediately goes when developing this device, and then actually selling it and market it. I would probably go towards the end of the government contracts or special programs from organizations that would tackle onto this problem. When I think about this case specifically, UNDP is probably something that immediately comes to mind to at least do some kind of like sales effort or campaign effort to convince the United Nations development programs to buy into like this device as like a solution, as a translation service in underdeveloped communities where they have less literacy in general, and then like the second language literacy is just like not that great. These guys often push out these like requests for proposals, RFP documents, which are supposed to be these cases or problems that they're trying to tackle on, and then but also creating a program and a funding budget for it. Sometimes lobby, or if you just know someone on the inside. Personally, if I don't know anyone on the inside of this organization, I might either do cold email, but better yet, I would probably just serve targeted banner ads of people's profiles that are just like working in the UNDP, whether it's on LinkedIn or Google or Meta ads, and try to get the key target of people who works in this organization and solicit, oh yeah, this is the best, most affordable, cost-effective device for translation systems to help underdeveloped communities. If I'm like a program coordinator or a director, is trying to figure out, okay, where should I stream my budgets to? I might click on that banner ad and then actually book a call with you to figure out, okay, what is this device? Maybe I need a demo, or like maybe I need to buy the first one and just like see how it works, and then explore a little bit more. What do you think, Sarah?
I think it sounds like a really cool idea, but I do think it's pretty complex. For more innovative projects, I think from nonprofit perspective, they don't usually have, that much budget set out for just things that they could try out. In my experience, it's usually like they'll set out a budget that is specific to things that they need done within the year or the next year. And I think to be able to convince like the board of directors in a charity to I guess take on something like this, there would need to be case studies that they could look at.
So are you saying that it's more of like, because it would be for an individual product or for a project, it would be a high expense basically. And like a lot of these organizations, they might not actually have very high like capital expenditure to like invest in like, oh, we want to get this one crazy device that will like aid us over the next 2 years. But like that doesn't necessarily impact like an individual project for them. So then it just might make the approvals impossible, basically.
It really depends if there's a corporate sponsor or if there's a fund that they could apply to with the government that would maybe make funding accessible to try something like this out. I guess that would make it a little bit more possible. But again, from my experience, when it comes to applying for those types of funds, there's usually a rigorous process that's like, okay, where is this going? What's it going to be used for? What is the benefit of this project? How is this going to actually go to reach the beneficiaries that you're trying to reach? That sort of thing.
In order to actually even get this tested or like get the initial partnership program set out, it needs to be like a collaborative partnership target program that makes social work for these places more efficient, and then have like a rough feasibility assessment. And then number two, you can stream it in an education angle where like it's making kids learn easier or learn a second language easier within that local jurisdiction of that developing country. But once you have it's like a whole game of like pushing out these case studies and then showing these feasibility numbers. You're selling to the real audience, a larger international nonprofit like a UNDP, where like they have like endless amount of like funding, but like it's really just a challenge on finding these innovative solutions. Or in the case of government contracts, they've already pushed out this budget in their fiscal balance sheet. And it's just a matter of distributing on to the programs that they've kind of created funding to solve certain solutions for. In Canada, they have something called the Canada's Innovation Challenges, where there's a number of these like organizations, but then it's all realistically all funded by the government. They're constantly looking for just innovative solutions in kind of different areas. Sometimes it's like related to education. Sometimes it could be related to AI or carbon capture. But there's a few of these that goes around every year, and then it cycles new challenges into the following year. I think if someone that keeps an eye out on these challenges, it means that you're getting a defined contract to solve a problem. And then you're just positioning this innovation as a solution, being the puzzle piece to that problem.
So to sum up what you just said, basically do what Anduril is doing, but like for a much less death and explosions type of purpose.
Yeah. Instead of doing analytics and then in order to figure out where to aim your drone at, but keep the Hawaiian shirt, like the founder.
Yeah, same founder vibe for sure, just different products.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, that actually makes a lot of sense. I think it would totally be like, because you wouldn't be able to sell it until you prove that it's feasible. So you would probably have to do like one project right off the bat that you have self-funded with the machine that you have built, and it's the software has been trained, and do an initiative with a charity or an NGO as a collaboration, and then yeah, make those case studies, and that could get it out. Okay, it's the idea is less feasible than I thought, because not only would you like building the hardware and the software probably wouldn't be that crazy, because you could probably get like an AI consultant to do this for you realistically. Like it's basically a GPT wrapper with like some extra hardware attached, but it would literally just be a laptop. It would more so be about like just you could just buy things from the store and just throw this together. So like I think it's probably like a $5,000 build for like your first version of it. Once you start talking about these like case studies and the collaborations, like you probably need capital. Like this is probably like in the tens of thousands of dollars to get started now.
Honestly, I still think that tens of thousands of dollars is still relatively approachable. Okay, the initial $5,000 capital, at least like, I'm not sure in the US or everywhere else, but in Canada, at least in Toronto, if you've never started a business before, you're eligible to like apply for this $5,000 grant. That's your prototype cost, all taken care of. And then with this prototype, if you have an actual prototype, all you really need to go to is just like the local pitch competitions to talk about this prototype. You're really just like presenting this prototype and then talking about your pipeline of like where you're planning to go with it, or like the collaborations that you got the letter of intent for to test out this prototype program in the following year or like 6 months from now, and then get some pitch competition capital. Maybe it's like roughly $10,000 if you hit like 5 of these. And then that's your travel cost taken care of to travel around the world to like different developing countries with like nonprofits to test out these programs. I think like it's totally feasible because it's like an innovative solution. It hits all these like innovation factors to get these government grants to also help service the government.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Like for this type of thing, like obviously because of the theme that I kind of went with on this one, like focusing on the humanitarian side of it, and obviously like that combination with the large language models and all of that. I didn't even consider like this is a very public funding friendly idea. This one is actually for you if you have some level of tech savviness. Like if you know how to make your own GPT wrapper and do it well, like you're basically 80% of the way there already. And yeah, if you're familiar with these grant bodies and getting government funding, then you could probably go pretty far with this one. And
or if you just need a traveling salesman like me, just contact me.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, Runda will go on a trade mission for you. He's available for hire.
I will help you apply for those trade mission grants for me to go outside and be your traveling salesman.
It's actually really funny you mentioned that though, because like those travel for market research grants, like those are widely available, and there's new organizations that get funding for them every year. Like I've actually used those grants before, and I work in video production. So it's like, if that's technology, then there's definitely a lot of other things that you could get approved for on this.